Promise Me Ned, Baby to John. I don't know why, but her writing in Jamie's book was it hit me hard. Because
Yeah.
Jamie's one of my favorite characters.
She loved him so much that she could forgive him for what he did at the very end.
Exactly, and she's just making his like putting his legacy, everything his character strived to be. She put it in ink, and that was like the final. It's the
Goodbye
final
to Jaime
page, the
Lannister.
final page of the Jamie Lannister book, right there. And he deserved that. She deserved to have that closure.
It's funny because when I thought about his end in the previous episode, the first thing that came to mind was the Book of Brothers and how it's essentially still empty, that nobody is going to remember his deeds. So having Brienne do that, it would have been unfortunate if the last scene we saw with Brienne was her outside begging Jaime not to leave. For her to do that for him, something that he'll never know happened, but something that he deserved. We always say he was a very complex character, but the world deserved to know the good deeds that he did commit and that he finally will be remembered as a man of honor. That's the only thing that he ever fought for. And the final line of he died protecting his queen. Even
That
in that
got me too, man.
Yeah.
That was bad.
And
Not bad in the sense of her running, but bad for my emotional state at that point.
The small council scene with Tyrion, I like this scene too. I thought this was a great end for Tyrion Lannister. Where they're deliberating again, and Bronn is Lord of Highgarden and Master of Coin.
Yes.
Davos is the Master of Ships. Brienne is, I guess,
Lord Commander of the
Kingsguard, who does sit on the small council. And Samwell Tarly is the Archmaester. I don't know if he graduated.
Sam got an honorary doctorate.
He got I guess you deserve that.
Yeah.
You go through all of that. And he presents Tyrion the book, Archmaester Ebros's Song of Ice and Fire. He came up with the title. And that's another callback to season 2, episode 10, where Varys tells Tyrion that nobody's going to remember what you did, but we won't forget.
Yes.
Tyrion's frustrated again. Was he critical of me? No, not necessarily. Oh, wow, I'm not in it.
I don't think it was everyone's like prediction, but that was always the thing but that was always the thing people talked about is it would end with Sam writing the World of Ice and Fire or the Song of Ice and Fire, and the book would be closing, kind of like a Bilbo Baggins type thing.
Right.
But it didn't end like that, but that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, and them going back and forth talking about how they're going to rebuild the city, that the Lord of Highgarden needs to offer some resources for food, feed the citizens, and some financial support for rebuilding the ships. And this was funny too. It was a callback to Littlefinger when Bronn makes the point that they should be rebuilding the brothels instead because, whores don't sink, ships do. So Bronn taking some advice from the previous Master of Coin. Did Littlefinger have to die?
I'd like to see what he would have done.
Right, yeah.
Oh, he would have convinced the Night King to
do something
yeah. to benefit him.
He would have gotten his ear somehow.
Yeah. I'd like this scene too, but it was just I was still trying to recover from what happened before that, and it just felt rushed, sloppy, jumbled, if you want to say. I like all the big moments. Like I said, even the John thing at the end, it was very reflecting
in the end
on
of
that.
Snakes of a Plane where Samuel Jackson goes surfing.
Yeah.
I always found that was a weird ending because there's all these snakes just murdered everybody on this plane, and then he's just surfing at the very end. So I got a good ending. That's how this felt. They were all just having a good time. I once brought a honeycomb and a jackass in a brothel.
Yeah,
but genocide just happened.
It's like them having that moment. John being who he always wanted to be. Sansa being always who she wanted to be. Arya being who always she wanted to be. The bridge there was
bad.
Not good.
Not great.
Not great, but it's still bittersweet, man. He told us. And that's what we got. And Pod on the Kingsguard. So sadly his talents will be wasted.
What a Mary Sue. Just doesn't die. Now he's a Kingsguard. I bet he managed them to change the rules.
Yeah. Well,
so that knights are allowed to get married.
That wouldn't be fair if they didn't.
That is true. The whores would go screaming from dawn to Castle Rock.
Yes. Another emotional point was when John said bye to everybody. Sansa, Arya. Arya was a big one too. And Bran. Bran was kind of he bent the knee and was like, peace.
I know you don't really care, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah. But with the one with the Sansa and Arya was... And that's when she says that she's going east.
Right. Yeah, that she's going to explore. She's going west, actually. Yeah, in this moment too, John kind of hints that Sansa is going to be the one to lead the north. We called that.
Yeah.
Go watch our... The deconstruction of a fantasy, Sansa Stark. Yay. Just don't watch What Do the White Walkers Want anymore. Just don't watch it. Just
Or
don't.
Who Will Kill Cersei Lannister.
Yeah, Who Will Kill Cersei Lannister? Don't watch that one. Or is Jon Snow Azor Ahai? Just skip that one too. Our Westworld content, we were confused during Westworld season 2 as well.
I couldn't tell you what happened last
I'll
week.
tell you what, our Halloween review, that's one of our best videos. Very underrated.
But yeah, it's over, man.
It is over, yeah. Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 6, series finale, the end. To what I think we can still say is one of the best and most influential television series of all time. You're never going to find, we keep hearing about what's going to be the next Game of Thrones. You're never going to find it because it was a deconstruction, literally, of the fantasy genre. He took all of these tropes, but the strength of this show has always been the characters and the personalities that he created, that you were able to latch on to these characters, that you rooted for them, you loved them, you hated them. That was the genius of this show. And the world building. The fantasy world of Game of Thrones, I said it's the pinnacle of fantasy writing because this world is so rich. And there's so much depth to it. There's so much to explore. Where you look at the ending of this show, it leaves the door open to all these different sequels. Arya being Christopher Columbus, Jon going back north, Sansa ruling as Queen in the North, Bran being the king of the Six Kingdoms. And then you have other continents where there's stuff happening there too. It's everything that this show has done with the way they've handled magic, the way that they've handled prophecy. It's been brilliant. And you can have your mixed feelings on this final season. But it's still a show that I will always love, I will always revisit, and it's been a big part of my life, and I'm thankful to have experienced this world. Thank you to D&D, don't kill me, and thank you to George R. R. Martin for creating this world.
It's such a big part of our lives, and for us to just say we didn't like the ending or we were disappointed by certain aspects, and for that to be our view of the whole show would be irresponsible and I think foolish. So even if you didn't love how it ended, I think viewing it as a whole, just the cultural impact it had, the way it changed our lives, is there will be nothing like this ever again, or not for the foreseeable future. The way it incorporated every genre into a kind of fantasy setting, and like you said, the characters were a strong suit where everyone was able to relate to any character. That's why it was so split. You had Daenerys fans, you had Jon fans, you had Robb fans, Sansa fans, Arya fans, Cersei fans, Jaime fans. You don't have that in anything else. You're just a fan of who they want you to root for. But here there was such an array of choices and for you to latch onto, and the character development and the character arcs that these people went through was something unprecedented on TV, where you never really knew what was going to happen to the characters you've grown to love, and you never knew what changes they would take. Jaime, bad guy to good. Daenerys, good to bad. Cersei, bad to still bad, but you kind of got a different perspective on her, and you've learned to root for her in certain aspects. And they played with your emotions and tugged on all your heartstrings, and it's something that was truly unique and just took the world by storm. And I'll be forever grateful for the work D&D did for getting me to buy into the show and eventually read the books and learn the world that George built. Because without them, and I think for a lot of fans, I would have never read the books or knew who George R. R. Martin was.
Yeah, it was popular before the show, but that's the thing. These gems are hiding out there, and it took D&D to... took HBO to have faith in this project. It's so funny when you watch these actors' interviews and they talk about when they first got the role and they would tell people close to them, oh, I'm going to be in a fantasy series. They go, oh, fantasy? Mm-hmm. And I think people had there's a lot of stigma around that. There's still people that I know that won't watch it just because I don't like dragons. Mm-hmm. But it's so much more than that. It's, like you said, the incorporation of all the genres, the real world history. It's truly a magnum opus in the making for the books, and the show itself is still such a great fantasy epic, and it gave us this platform here on NerdSoup. That's why we have to be eternally grateful that we're allowed to now talk about other things that we enjoy. Never seen anything like it in pop culture, the way that it's just dominated everything this year. And people are going to be screaming and yelling and complaining, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the name of the game.
No, it's fine for people to have their complaints, and I respect them, and I kind of see where they're coming from, but I think it's just overall kind of unfortunate that this was the ending for it. Not in the fact that the way it ended, but just how everyone seemed to be divided, where in a perfect world, everyone should have been on board for this. And there's a number of reasons why that didn't happen, but I was still excited, and it was a big night for me, and still trying to grasp that this is the last one, but it is.
Yeah, and this is the last episode of Game of Thrones that we will review. It's a bittersweet ending for us, too. We'll obviously have some more Game of Thrones content in the future. Probably do a season 8 review, a couple of more podcasts, and we have the Long Night prequel coming up. Game of Thrones isn't going anywhere, and neither are we. We hope that the new subscribers that we've gained during this season and the subscribers that we've gained over the past couple of years stick with us, because we would like to explore new movies, new shows, things that we can review, things that we love, to shine a light on them, because it's just what we love to do. It's what we do in our free time when the mics are off. We're here, we're talking about movies, we're talking about shows, and we've got a schedule here of things that we want to review over the summer, things that some of our Patreon supporters have suggested, and thank you to all of them for supporting us. But Nerd Suit, we're going to try and continue to grow.
Yeah, and like you said, there's going to be a number of prequels that we could talk about, the books, and it's good to get into some other things. Like we said, Westworld, that's coming out season 3.
Not doing Westworld.
We'll see what.
No.
You too confused?
It's too confusing.
So basically what we're trying to say is, please don't leave us.
Don't.
We worked so hard to get here.
I know I say don't like, don't share, and unsubscribe at the end of the Patreon, but don't do that. Just stay. We're begging you. The HBO money's run out. Teddy spent it all on McDonald's. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.
Good soup.
Are you going to participate in the cold opening?
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Yeah, is this what we're doing? I was like, are you mentioning location names and the cold opening?
Walt Whitman Mall, but you're fucking weird, dude.
How
Nobody's trying to kill you.
But how do you know?
But
What?
yeah, but you're so anal when it comes to these things. You're an anal. You're an anus. Aaron thinks everybody's out to get him. Well, we did the New York Times. If you guys haven't read our New York Times interview, it was ridiculous that they even considered us. And I give them our names. Because on here, Bo Oliver, and I give Aaron's name. Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey, that's not his birth name. So I gave the woman his birth name, and he's like, listen, I'm the only Aaron bleep in the entire world. They can just Google me once, they'll know where my grandma is.
No, all right.
They can get her address.
All right.
And he was like, they're going to pinpoint me, they're going to send me ricin.
Ricin.
I'm like, dude.
More like anthrax.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another
No, let me
episode.
explain myself first, because you made me sound like a fucking paranoid schizophrenic.
Do you want me to bring up the text messages? Because you sounded like a paranoid
schizophrenic. Did I?
Because
all I said,
Aaron, you literally, before you go on your whole defense,
yes,
you talked yourself into my position. That's how crazy you were.
I wasn't crazy. I just felt weird that, like, literally if you Google my birth name, my address shows up the first thing, because I don't have any social media.
How do you think Justin Bieber feels?
He's fucking rich and can afford, like, I wasn't saying like anyone was going to come and find and kill me. I just felt uncomfortable that I was just out there. It was just a thing that I just was a little hesitant about. And after we talked about it, I kind of warmed up to the idea. But I was just like, hey, maybe that's not a cool thing. Maybe I don't want you to be able to find my whole family's address if you Google my name. That's it. Just some little...
You hate the fans.
I don't hate the fans.
No, I think it's...
But you never know in this YouTube game, man. You say one bad thing about, like, Batman. Next thing you know, fucking anthrax.
Could have been a great transition, but we have to introduce the Nerd Soup Podcast, and we are back. We will be talking about Batman a little later, but I am joined today by Aaron. Social security number 0. The Nerd Soup Monkey.
Honestly, give my social security number. I don't care anymore.
What do people
Steal
do with
my
that?
identity. Fuck my whole life up. I'm done.
Fuck me up, Queen.
Fuck me, yeah. I'm done. I'm done with everything.
And Marissa is here too today. How you doing, Marissa?
I'm good.
Me and Marissa just hung out.
That never happens.
Some family bonding.
That's cool.
I was actually going to go to her house because she has an in-ground pool, but for
But
some
instead you were
reason
like, hey, come all the way to my house. Like
Why-
you haven't been doing it weekly.
Why did you guys ask me to hang out?
Well, I figured you had stuff going on.
Fam only.
Oh my god. So you ain't fam.
Damn.
No, but your Memorial Day weekend, Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, the guy's out crushing beers on his forehead,
Hell yeah.
playing a little flip.
Instead we just
Frisbee?
rehash deep family trauma.
Yeah. I was at Nash, so I guess that's cool.
Oh wow! Shout out to Nash. Talk about not getting the invite for the hangout or the podcast.
Isn't there a podcast he's on that's pending?
You know what's funny is that there is a podcast that he's on that's pending, and then we re-recorded that one, and I accidentally never saved the audio for the reshoot. So
What?
I'm thinking I just never mentioned that again. We'll cut this out. Yeah, and you guys can listen to us on iTunes at the Nerd Soup Podcast and Spotify, SoundCloud. Send us your questions at nerdsoupforyou@gmail.com, even though we never answer questions that get sent to the email. And follow us on Twitter, Nerd Soup for You, the Nerd Soup Monkey on Twitter, or just Nerd Soup Monkey, right? No, drop the. And Marissa's not on Twitter. So yeah, let's get right into our first story today. We've been gone for a couple of weeks now. We've attempted to come back, but those comebacks have failed miserably, mostly due to Nash and Aaron.
Not me. I was electric on those.
The second one you were better. The first one you were really bad. They'll never know. But we've got a major story. We've got
yeah.
a new casting for Batman. Robert Pattinson. I made this joke on 2 podcasts ago. Robert Pattinson.
Wow.
Yeah, it hit so much better that first
and
time.
I was the problem with that other podcast, huh? Not you. No, keep going.
Okay.
Introduce the topics.
We got Robert Pattinson playing Batman, and yeah, that's kind of really it that we have for major topics. We've got a couple trailers, a couple of movies that we've actually seen over the past couple of weeks, so we might talk about those. But yeah, I say let's open this up to Robert Pattinson, and it's so funny when this was announced. The internet, the way they reacted, complete shocker. Everybody was so on board with this casting because Robert Pattinson is someone who's built up his filmography over the last couple of years. After being in the Twilight movies, he stepped back, explored more character studies with the roles that he was taking, really showed that he had the chops of a true thespian. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that nobody overreacted to this casting and everybody's keeping that in mind.
Except you forgot the point where nobody saw his work post Twilight and just labeled him as the Twilight guy and hated the casting.
You can't forget about Cedric Diggory.
Marissa texts me that. She says, everybody's just forgetting about his role as Cedric Diggory. It's like, no, I think people remember that pretty well.
No.
But
The
people
thing
were
is,
focusing on Twilight.
Have you seen Twilight?
Yeah, I was the target demographic for Twilight when it was
What
popular.
team were you?
Edward, obviously.
Of course.
I never
Well,
watched any of the movies, but I think I was a Jacob guy because I just liked the dog.
You liked his abs.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a mix. It's
Yeah.
like wolf and some sweet abs. That's why I'm a big Rob Stark guy.
It's true. Rob's got some nice abs. Was he bad in the Twilight movies?
It wasn't so much that he was bad as that the movies were bad.
Right, but was he, because it's a case of Hayden Christensen in the Star Wars prequels. It's like the movies are bad, but he's also a bad actor. Was that the case with him? Has he just gotten better? Because everything I've seen him in, he's been really good.
Honestly,
Because I haven't seen a minute of
okay,
Twilight.
I read all the books when I was like 12, and the first movie came out around that time.
They say you're the biggest Twilight fan of all time.
Yes, obviously.
You had Team Edward in your away message on AIM.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. But by the time like the movies were coming out, or at least the last movie, I was sort of seeing it out of obligation. I genuinely can't tell you if he was good in them or not. Like I remember thinking towards the end, the movies are not very good.
He looks like a vampire. He's got a vampire-ish look to him.
Like the movies are just generally like awkward and uncomfortable and like ridiculous.
Right. It wasn't, this is for children.
Like, do
It
I
was
think
just, this is bad.
It's like he was not giving his all in the Twilight movies. Definitely not.
Well, he hates them. He's
Yeah.
outwardly said that he just doesn't like them.
So there's no way he was like, I'm treating this like it's gold or something. But
And it's funny how how him and Taylor Lautner kind of went separate ways. Where Taylor Lautner is doing Grown Ups 3. he hasn't really done much since those movies. But he did take that
Taylor
step
Lautner
back.
peaked at Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
He was Shark Boy?
He was Shark Boy.
Oh, wow. That's when he was young, though, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I did not know that. But yeah, he took the approach that I remember reading a blog post about Adrian Brody, whatever happened to Adrian Brody after The Pianist, and all the roles that he took, he wanted to be the lead instead of taking that step back. He was trying to do King Kong and blockbusters. Robert Pattinson did it perfectly. He had the exposure of this international franchise, and then he allowed himself to make movies that he probably grew up loving, that got him into film. And now he's coming back, taking up the role of Batman, putting on the cowl, one of the most recognizable characters of all time. So he's back in the spotlight. I personally love this casting. When I heard it, I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's something different. But as I've sat with it more and more, because I think I like it because it is so unique, because that's not somebody you picture as Batman. I hope he doesn't get too buff. I hope he's kind of a skinnier, more charismatic version of that character, where he is I guess a heartthrob in a sense, where he's got a boyish look to him.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's something where I think we talked about this when it was first a rumor, and I think we both said the same thing. Like, oh, yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I think I was leaning Army Hammer. That's more of like your stereotypical, like, Batman, right? That
Yeah,
kind of
if I still had the choice, I would probably still go Army Hammer.
But it's something where I don't necessarily hate it. Like, that's the thing, too, in the internet nowadays. It's like, you either hate it or you love it. Where I think, you know, if you're not a huge fan of this casting, I can see why, but I think...
It's funny because film Twitter specifically loved
Yeah.
this casting. When
Well-
Ben Affleck was casted, it was both sides. It was the
Yes.
casual fans and film Twitter because it kind of seemed kind of goofy at that point in his career. But
my
this
whole-
one, film Twitter loves it.
My whole thing is, like, I've seen him in other things besides Twilight. I think he's a very capable actor. He has a look. He's a little slight, but like you said, if they want to go for a more slimmed down, agile type Batman, or he can beef up a little, and I think it'll still fit the character perfectly. Very good actor, and I think that when you really... I just had a good point. I lost it.
Beef up a little, and when you
Yeah,
really...
beef up. Holy shit, I'm fucking stupid, man.
You're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Who loses track of a point?
It's very bad.
You fucking dumbass, Marissa. Pick up this garbage.
I'll try to muddle some pieces back
Yeah,
together.
okay, yeah, let's see this.
But it's also, too, like, Matt Reeves is a very, very good director. So you got to trust his decision making. And Christopher Nolan, I think we all agree, is a very good director as well, who made the most iconic superhero trilogy of all time. And he's cast Robert Pattinson in his next upcoming movie. So like, even if you haven't seen these movies like Good Time or Lost City of Z or anything like that, Lighthouse, which I hear is fucking fantastic, too.
Wait, Nolan directed Blade?
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. You should have said Spider-Man. That would have been funny.
Oh, no, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah. But,
Blade trilogy's better.
I mean, just if you know these directors, Reeves and Nolan, and they trust this man to be put in their franchise, you got to trust their opinion on these matters. And I think even if you are skeptical of it, that fact alone should give you some more optimism with Robert Pattinson taking on the Cape Crusader.
Yeah, Marissa, do you like the casting?
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I haven't seen any of his movies post Twilight.
Yeah, I mean, that's most people. And I think the casual fan, it's kind of jarring when you see that Robert Pattinson has been cast because everybody associates him with Twilight. So,
yeah. I mean, the most I remember about him post Twilight is that movie he was in with Reese Witherspoon. Is it Remember Me?
oh no, the wasn't the
think it's
title
Reese.
something with the elephants?
Oh, yep.
Yeah, like watering elephants or something like that. Christoph Waltz was in it, right?
Like Water for Elephants? Was he in that movie?
Yes.
Was that movie made post Twilight?
Yeah, definitely. I think right after Twilight. I think almost, if not the same year, the next year. Because I think that was Waltz coming off of Inglourious Bastards.
Well, I remember seeing it.
He's married to Reese
movie?
Witherspoon, right? In that movie?
What isn't there a movie where Reese Witherspoon is like his love interest, and then it's like
I think
it
that's
ends
it.
with the plane crashing into the Twin Towers?
Oh, that movie was so weird. They just
He's
threw
in two, Reese?
They just threw 9/11 into it at the end. Like,
Yeah,
by
I'm-
the
Was it
way,
a plot twist?
by the way, this
Like,
takes place
he's in
in 9/11, and
Like
everyone.
he's in a building going up an elevator, and it's like he turns around and he sees the plane coming at him in the
It
elevator.
was no sense. Like, it's just like, oh, now it's 9/11 movie.
That's like I remember that
Does
one
it end?
specifically. I think the movie ends with like him getting with like the plane hitting the building.
It was so weird. It's like,
That's what I remember most about him post Twilight.
You know, Hollywood execs, when they heard that ending, they were like, whoa. Whoa. Can we do that?
I'm pretty sure that
You
movie is
bet your
called
ass we
Remember
can.
Me.
Yeah,
but
okay,
I'm
that
not.
sounds
I'm not
about right.
positive.
I could have swore he was in that elephant movie.
I mean, I haven't seen the elephant movie.
it's such a weird that movie. Wow, I forgot.
I kind of want to revisit that movie. I need to watch that movie. Never seen it.
It's kind of like the Dakota Johnson effect too, where I feel like she got lumped in with the 50 Shades movies, and she's a bad actress, quote unquote. But when you see her in other work, especially Suspiria, she's actually a really good actress. But it's just people can't get that taste out of their mouths. So it takes a while to separate yourself from those type of movies, I guess, where insanely popular but kind of get looked down upon by film aficionados or even just the general audience.
Right, and I'll go back to it again. He seems to be making movies that he loves, and it's obviously he's not a notorist because he's not making the movies, but he's one of those actors like a Leo, where it's I'm not auditioning for roles, I'm choosing what I want to do. I'm sure he has to audition for some of those movies, but I mean, A Good Time is an A24 small budget. I'm sure they approached him and said you probably would fit this role, and he was great in that film. He was also great in The Lost City of Z, which was a movie that went under the radar. Not necessarily a small movie. I'm sure it had a sizable budget because Charlie Hunnam was the star.
Not to be confused with World War Z.
I was gonna say, is that the zombie movie?
No. It's about them trying to find this lost city in Africa, I think it was. This ancient civilization that was lost, or in South America, I think. And he's unrecognizable in that movie. He's got a beard. He looks like he's 40 years old. And he was really great.
Wait, now that you're talking about it, I feel like I remember that movie coming out.
Yeah, that was last year, I think. Early last year.
Yeah.
Didn't make my top 10, but I think that's 2018.
The years just all combined.
I don't know. If you said what's the date, I know Monday. I don't know the number.
Not a big date guy.
I can't. It's been June for the past 3 weeks for me.
It's like it was my grandpa's birthday on Sunday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. The week.
Whoa.
What did I say? Thank you. It's not my birthday. But the week before, my grandma was planning. It's like, oh, can we go out to dinner Sunday for your grandpa's birthday? I'm like, sure. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's his birthday. And I have no idea what day any given day is, unless like I actually like, oh, today is the 25th. So I kind of missed it.
Is today the 25th?
No idea.
It is 27th.
27th.
27th. We're cruising.
That's tough.
Yeah, we're moving along here.
I would have given you like 24th.
For some reason, I thought it was the 28th. I was a little bit ahead. I'm ahead of schedule
Like an
here.
hour.
I'm getting ready for Godzilla. Thursday.
That looks awesome, man.
Ooh.
So a lot of like, we were lucky because during Thrones, like I haven't seen any movies during that time, and I feel like we didn't really miss much.
We're getting a little bit of a rush here.
But now we're coming. We had Booksmart, Aladdin, Brightburn. There's
Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu.
Oh man, that was amazing.
No, it wasn't.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen any of the
You gave it a
movies that
6.
come out.
Yeah, but it was amazing to see Pikachu
Yeah.
with a little deer hunter.
Yeah.
There's a part where he's really depressed and he starts singing the theme song. He's like, I want to be the very best. Spoilers.
Who cares?
Isn't Mir's Mewtwo kind of thick?
Dummy thing.
Right?
My
He was
My-
looking like Squidward when he was
my
eating all the
defining
Krabby
memory
Patties.
of Mewtwo as a kid is when I think it was you. You were at my house when we were little, and you unlocked him in a Super Smash Brothers Melee, and you screamed.
Yeah.
You like ran across the
That
house.
was a big achievement,
Yeah.
unlocking Mewtwo. in
Like
Melee.
that is my defining memory about Mewtwo.
You're not a big Pokemon fan, right?
The game I can remember being obsessed with was Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness for
Never
the
played that
GameCube.
one.
It was
Okay.
it was a GameCube game. That
That's
was the
very
only one
specific.
that
I don't know why. That makes perfect sense.
For her, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course it does.
I've never been like super into video games really. But that was the one that I played and I was like, I get the Pokemon thing now. But I never really played like on the Game Boy. Even though we had the Game Boy games. Manny played the Game Boy games.
There's a great joke in Detective Pikachu where she works for like BuzzFeed, one of the characters, and she gets caught writing articles. It's top 10 cutest Pokemon. So they're all cute. Just pick one. And somebody on Twitter was like, "Oh, I wish I could have a Pikachu." And somebody responded was like, "Just get a dog." That's kind of a Pokemon on. They're just awesome pets. But Detective Pikachu, I thought it was adorable. Did it have terrible acting? Yes. Were there 75 plot twists at the end? Of course there were. Was there a real plot to latch onto? No, not really. But
Well, the only good part was
There was a Squirtle, and he was a fireman.
that was
Oh
awesome.
my god, I just remembered.
That was
Yeah, come on.
When I was in like the 3rd grade, I was like really obsessed with Pokemon trading cards, but I didn't know how to play the game.
I don't think anyone did.
I don't think there was any established.
I had a
rules for that
binder
game.
with all of the cards like in them. I'd be like, Mom, take me to the store so we can buy packs of Pokemon cards.
I still
played
have
the
my
game,
binders.
and then I like promptly forgot about it like 3 months after the phase ended.
I was a more Yu-Gi-Oh guy.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh,
I
you
was
get
sick at
the
Yu-Gi-Oh.
wrist deck thing.
I used to go to tournaments and shit.
What's that card? White Eyes Blue Dragon? Blue Eyes White
Blue
Dragon.
Eyes White Dragon.
That's I always remember that for literally no reason.
I got a Red Eyes Black Dragon once. It was the best day of my life.
That was Yu-Gi-Oh's boy used to play that card,
Dark
right?
Magician,
Dark Magician was Yu-Gi-Oh's card.
Magical Hats.
Magical Hat, yeah.
I
I always like Grave Digger. I was a
Was
big
that-
Grave Digger guy.
used to go to tournaments for that and MLB Showdown.
Of course you did. What, Mike Marr's house?
I
Mike Marr used to have some big
Barry
big MLB
Bonds, like
tournaments.
16 plus home run. He used to fucking hit dingers, dude.
All right, let's get off of this. Detective Pikachu was awesome. What about Booksmart? I guess we can mention Booksmart here briefly.
Booksmart. It was very enjoyable. I
Emma
really
Stone,
liked it.
Jonah Hill.
No.
No, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how influential Superbad has been because I feel like I've seen this movie so many times. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. This was on the good side.
No, yeah, they had some nice twists kind of to differentiate it from other coming of age comedies. But it hit a lot of the same beats, but I thought it was hilarious, man. And we were talking about it too, like, when's the last time? I think Blockers was the last time we saw a comedy in theaters that we were actually genuinely laughing at. And this had some fucking great moments.
Yeah, it was a very, very funny script.
Yeah.
Billy Lord, Carrie Fisher's daughter, stole the show. People were saying that she might get nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, I like the I forget this character's name, the drama
She was
kid.
that good.
The drama guy.
Oh,
with
the
the
main
glasses.
drama kid was
Oh,
amazing, dude.
fantastic.
When he threw the murder mystery party,
Yes.
it's like you just take your roles,
Yeah.
just enjoy yourselves.
It was a very delightful film. It was funny. I thought it had a great
The only
story.
criticism, I think, the biggest criticism is that after seeing 8th grade, these kids aren't even in high school.
No,
They're adults.
This was not a high school. Like, I don't know,
No.
maybe in California.
They're not even trying.
Like, New York high school was fucking terrible. Like, this seemed like a pleasant high school to go to where everybody
Yes.
is like, oh, hey, what's up? You're this guy and you're this girl. Let's all party. I'm like, hell yeah, that sounds ideal.
Or like the bathroom scene when they're talking about the main character.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I'd have sex with her, but her personality is a butterface. And it's like, that was supposed to make me feel bad for the main character. It's like, are you kidding me? They want to have sex with you.
It's like people-
What's the end game here?
People in my high school prided themselves on shitty personalities.
Yes. That was a good thing. If the shittier the personality,
But
the
I
better.
didn't really know, like, going into it, I didn't really know if it was going to be more grounded type coming of age, like a Lady Bird, or more of a hysterical type, sort of ridiculous comedy,
Yeah.
like a Superbad, which I think Superbad is very kind of...
Superbad was actually more grounded.
They
than
ground it.
Booksmart,
They
yeah.
ground it in a way that
Almost like an Anchorman, more Anchorman than Superbad.
Well, it
The
was,
things happen in Anchorman that are
Adam
ridiculous.
McKay and Will Ferrell's production company.
Right.
So
Yeah, talk about a first time effort though for Olivia Wilde. It's so crazy how these directors are just hiding out there, and we're seeing that more and more. Where these actors, I guess it pays off to have that experience, to be acting in films all these years. You kind of just pick up on the techniques. What else did we see? We saw Detective Pikachu, John Wick 3. We haven't spoken about, right?
yes.
I'm telling you right now, there's not a movie this year that's going to unseat John Wick 3 at the top of my list. You know what I gave it, Marissa? A 9.6.
Ridiculous
Really?
score.
It is the best hand-to-hand combat movie I've ever seen. It just kept getting better. The only criticism I would have is that it wasn't longer, but they leave it open for a fourth one.
Too long. I gave it the same score as Booksmart because I felt like that's the action version of what this was as far as coming of age comedy, where like they're both very good, but like I don't think I didn't take the next step to be like elite level, but are still very good.
The way people talk about the John Wick movies make me want to go see them.
You
Because
need
I
to watch
haven't
them.
seen any of the others. I think until they announced John Wick 3 was like being made, I hadn't heard of John Wick.
It's so ridiculous that these movies are
The
this
movies,
good.
the first movie I saw Keanu Reeves in was
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted
Yeah,
in like my high school like study hall.
that's awesome.
How did that not get you into like
I
everything
just-
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah,
He
I
looks
mean, that's
he
where
looks
you-
so different from how he does, to me at least in The Matrix, that I didn't register them as the same person.
Don't you think he would be a good Aizawa?
Yeah.
In My Hero.
Oh my god, that would
Yeah.
be amazing.
I feel like he might be a little bit too old for Aizawa.
But like he could
could
nail the like the
Yeah,
disaff
the emo and
I guess the affectless
yes, yeah.
nature of Aizawa.
He's someone where like
Somebody wrote that
He's-
Keanu Reeves is what Johnny Depp always thought he was going to be at this age.
It's like there's no like when I first heard of the John Wick movies and saw the trailer, I'm like, what a steaming pile of shit. And that's why like I hate to judge trailers, but there's no way that you could have watched that trailer and been like, this is the start of the best action trilogy of
Yeah.
all time.
Yeah, one of the best.
One of the best.
Even the name was kind of silly.
yeah.
John Wick. It was so.
I'm thinking I'm back.
Yeah,
It's like what?
it's like a Michael Clayton title. It's like, oh, that's such a bad title for a movie. But
No.
now he's become literally like a folk hero. This
was-
is the boogeyman.
He's immortal.
Yeah.
He really is. He's the new Chuck Norris.
I really
That's what I
enjoyed
told one of my friends. I was like, you know the Chuck Norris jokes?
Yeah.
They made a movie out of the Chuck Norris jokes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Like technically it's some of the best action you'll ever see.
And they always look so good.
Yeah, no, it's well choreographed. The fight scenes are as realistic as possible for this type of ridiculous yet somehow like grounded. Like it makes sense. It shouldn't be as grounded as it is, but I felt like this one kind of strayed away from that groundness that the first two had. This one seemed like they tried to get a little ridiculous, and I
Well,
don't
they
mind
literally
that.
made him kind of superhero-ish
Yeah.
towards the end.
I don't mind that, but it was kind of just like at like hour, what was it, like 2 hour movie, like an hour and 20 minutes into it, I'm like, they're still going.
Well, the thing with this movie, the mythology of John Wick, is that the underworld is apparently untouchable by the police.
Yeah.
That
Or like
they never run into any problems with the cops. That everything runs so smoothly. This is 9 to 5 organized crime. It's unbelievable.
I did see a tweet and it was like, I wish the world ran as smoothly as the assassins do in John Wick.
It's like an international assassin community, and it's ran on such a strict, like the structure of the universe, the way that everything operates is so efficient.
I like who's the actress's name? The antagonist, I guess you can call her.
Oh, the
f-
adjudicator.
Yes.
I forget her name, but she's
man.
been in other stuff. She was good.
Well, at first I thought she was going to be like the actual like
Main adversary that he fights.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the way like they took her role as like she was just her character represented the table, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess they gave a lot of depth to like how this world like is built and like how they follow the rules and just how she can just come down here and say this is how it's going to go and you guys have to follow this or you pretty much toast. So I like that aspect, how it wasn't the like non-violent aspect of it, the more like set in rules.
Well,
And
it's a very polite society.
Yeah, I go to these movies for the violence, but I kind of like the world that they build and like all the rules, regulation, and kind of pseudo government they set up there. It's like kind of cool. It's like, oh, how is this all working?
Halle Berry was great too.
Very good.
Halle Berry's in this movie.
And she's got murder dogs.
Yes.
Literally, all I know about John Wick is his dog
Those
got
dogs.
killed, and
Yes.
now he's killing people for it. I thought that was a meme at first. I didn't realize that's
No,
what the
that's
movie was
the
actually
plot
about.
of the movie. Somebody put after John didn't pet Ghost, it's like that's not the John that Ghost deserves. And they put a picture of John Wick. But there's a moment in the movie where Halle Berry, one of her murder dogs, gets shot, but he has a bulletproof vest. So Halle Berry just goes ballistic and starts murdering people. And John Wick looks at her and is like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "They shot my dog." And he's like, "Yeah, I know how it is." But it's actually the first one. I don't want to. You should watch it. It's actually very emotional. Because it sounds ridiculous to everybody else. It's like, why are you murdering all these people because they killed your dog? But when you see the way the dog dies, it's like, yes, murder everybody who had anything to do with this.
I saw Rocket Man too. I really like that.
Oh, Rocket Man.
That
How
has
was it?
a Taron Egerton, right?
Yeah.
Very good.
He's a
Very
better singer than Elton John.
No. still very good. I
My
like it.
mom's boyfriend is like, that's one of those voices like Freddie Mercury that you just can't get somebody to. I'm like, I don't know
Oh,
about
yeah.
that old.
It's like Rami
Oh, buddy.
Malek. I don't want someone to try to sing like Freddie Mercury because the whole time I'd be like, that's not Freddie Mercury. But Elton John and Taron Egerton singing, you're like, oh, that's actually very nice.
Yeah.
It's like it hits all the beats as the prototypical musical biopic, but they're all presented in a unique way, which I really much enjoyed. And the way the film was structured, I found very enjoyable too. And yeah, I really liked it. It's a good movie. Richard Madden.
Richard Madden is in it. Is he
Guy-
rocking his gray streak in that movie, or is that just for red carpets?
No, I don't think so.
Were you a
man.
big Gray Streak Richard Madden fan?
You know,
Yeah,
he
I'm
plays
a
the
big
same.
fan.
He plays the same character in Rocket Man as Aidan Gillen played in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah,
But
it's the same manager.
But he bangs.
Yeah, and he winks. He has a wink on him. Oof.
Ooh. That's Bond right there.
There's like 4 different times where he winks at the screen. I'm like, Yeah.
He winks at the screen?
Well, no,
Oh, you must have creamed your pants.
no, he winks like at someone else. I'm like, hell yeah, King.
They were boys.
Yeah,
That's for you, Aaron.
yeah,
Richard Madden in Cinderella, though.
he was.
That dude was
I saw him
Prince.
in Cinderella before I saw him in Game of Thrones.
What are you, a big Richard Madden fan? I didn't know this.
And Richard Madden in Cinderella specifically.
Very.
Okay. Your specifics are pretty funny. That Pokemon game. I'm not even sure that exists. I
It
feel like you
does.
just made that up.
I really like. The other day I found the disc and it doesn't work anymore, and I was like disappointed.
That's the worst, man, when those old systems break down and then you got to steal teddies. Did you guys hear about this story about Deadpool?
No.
That what they're trying to bring him in, right?
Yeah. Apparently they
either-
want to.
It's a Spider-Man movie, and then there's another one.
They're talking about maybe a Disney Plus series,
Oh yeah, that's right.
which would be interesting because I wonder if they would scale it back to PG-13, or they would just let people know what this is. That you need to get your parents' permission to watch the Deadpool Disney Plus, because you have to assume it's going to be aimed towards families.
Well, it's weird too with like Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if he would want to do like TV. I think they should do the movies. I mean,
think he'd be willing to do it.
it's like so.
Well, I guess if he does do the show, then what do you even do Deadpool 3?
Well, there was like an article saying like Disney's trying to find a way to incorporate Deadpool into the movies, and someone's like, just have him show up. That's literally Deadpool's character.
Yeah.
He can just show up and be like, hey,
And acknowledge it.
yeah. It's like wow. It's like he can even be like a just make a joke right away. It's like wow, like this is Disney, huh?
Yeah.
Deadpool's the one character you can have him be like, oh, we switch companies. There's a merger.
But there's apparently they want him in the third Spider-Man with Tom Holland.
Which I guess we need to see how Far From Home goes. If they're introducing the concept of the multiverse in Far From Home, then I guess they can do whatever they want.
Well, it's interesting because the Spider-Man Deadpool comic works perfectly.
Oh yeah, they're so funny.
They have a great dynamic, but it is you're not fundamentally changing. My whole thing was that Deadpool is talking to nobody.
But also,
that's how I kind of justify
the
that he's just a
Spider-Man-
lunatic.
the Spider-Man Deadpool comics, it's like Spider-Man's an adult,
Yeah.
and now
Right.
he's like a kid, sort of, however old he is now. Which I think him being younger does like fundamentally change the dynamic between them.
But it's also you wonder if we're ever going to see R-rated Deadpool again now, because him in a Spider-Man movie, the dude can't be making. I mean, in the Deadpool
I mean, they
movies,
could lean on that or lean into that.
and they do it. They do a good job in the comic because the comic's not rated R either. But the thing is, we have the precedent for this. I mean, this guy's making coke jokes and gay jokes and every type of joke under the sun.
I've always when we first talking about the merger, I was always like trying to figure out how they would introduce them and not disrupt the flow of the MCU as a whole. Because I feel like even if it's like an Avengers movie and he just came in, I would just be like, oh wow, that's different. That's a weird turn for what just happened, or what they established, where it is a very fantastical world, but they do try to ground it as well as they can. And now if you have this guy breaking the fourth wall, calling them out on every single technicality, it's kind of like, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
It's like a character that works well on his own, but when you introduce him to an already established franchise, it could be a little jarring if not handled correctly.
No, I mean, I want to see it. I want to see him. I mean, yeah, like he is a character that does work better on his own. If they were gonna not go the rated R route with him in the future, I think just sprinkling him in randomly, just like a tiny bit into specific movies would be the best bet. I can't think of what else they could do with him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate him, and really the X-Men as a whole, because it looks like you want to start with Deadpool because he is so established, and those movies make a ton of money, and they're cheap to make. You can make Deadpool 3 on a $50 million budget. It's going to make like 600, 700 worldwide. So that it makes sense why that's going to be the first guy that they bring in. But I'm excited to see the X-Men reboot. I hope it's sooner than later. I really do.
I want to see the Fantastic Four.
Me too. Yeah, but they fit in so well with the MCU.
They do. It would be so awesome to see a Fantastic Four movie that's like really good.
You know who I'd love to see directed? J.J. Abrams. I think he'd be the perfect guy to do that. A space epic.
Yeah.
And I'd say you bring in the big boy for Fantastic Four. You give them Galactus off the bat.
Off the bat?
Yes.
Really?
I
mean, they just spent forever. If they're introducing them into the MCU and then the Fantastic Four come in and they're like, hey, Galactus.
But you bring in Silver Surfer as well. I want all of them in that first movie. But you can always bring... The problem with the MCU is that they always kill off their villains. Mm-hmm. I really didn't want them to kill off Thanos. I wish they would have just put him in super jail. But I guess now with the idea of time travel, it's anybody
time
can...
travel, multiverses.
Yeah. Ultron to me was the worst. case of that.
I mean, they built towards Thanos, so I don't know if you want to go straight out like here's Galactus, here's Apocalypse, here's all these big guns. Where I think
Well, Galactus
that's where like
is
kind
in
of
that
like
first Fantastic Four.
The second Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
they weren't great.
Except he was a Cloud.
But no, but in the comic, isn't he the first villain that they face?
I don't think he's the first. In like
Okay.
the first like 50 or so issues.
Okay.
I don't think Galactus is the first. I mean, I haven't read those, so I can't be sure.
Should he be the villain though for the overall universe then, or do you keep him just with the Fantastic Four?
Honestly, the more iconic villain for the Fantastic Four is Doctor Doom. So
Well, Doctor Doom, I want to see him get his own movie.
He's a character that should be developed like we got with Thanos.
Yes.
He is such a great character too. and
actually, you
he's
know
had-
what? I'm kind of coming around. If they do Galactus first and build up towards like a really cool Doctor Doom, I
Yeah.
might be with it.
You go Fantastic Four, then Doctor Doom movie, and then you bring them together in a sequel. But there's a great comic. Have you